Hi, and thank you for joining me today. What we'll be talking about is Red Russian Kale and how to grow that. At the end, please stay tuned because I will be showing you a great recipe on cream of kale. It's just like cream of spinach, except for you're using kale instead. This is a great way to utilize your greens that you're growing in your garden when you have a huge abundance of them. And in the situation you're not growing kale and you just want a great recipe on cream of kale, you can definitely stick with us for that. If you like this video and you want to see more videos, please be sure to give it a like and hit that subscribe button down below. This is a very hardy and consistent plant. What I like to do with it, because it's so plentiful and so bountiful, is to actually make cream of kale, because kale salads and things like that, of course that's great, but I like to incorporate the kale in warm dishes. Cream of kale is my family's favorite way to cook this particular plant when I have an abundance of it. Another great way to incorporate this vegetable in your dishes would be in soups, like a zuppa toscana type soup, but you can really just chop it up and throw it into just about anything. Great hardy vegetable to grow, especially in the hotter climates. It would definitely thrive in the cooler climates. Down in the hotter areas like Florida, Texas, anywhere like that, you're going to have more difficulties growing, leafy greens such as lettuce or anything like that. So I've always found that kale has been a really great option for me. I've had lots of success for all the years of gardening, growing kale for making one plant last for over a year. They're just really consistent and really hardy. They're really bug tolerant as well. Some people will actually plant kale bushes or anything, other really hardy greens like mustard greens in their garden to act as a bait for bugs like aphids and things like that, because it will basically distract those bugs from going to the more sensitive plants. We're in fall, we're going into cooler weather, so we don't have any bugs. So that's not a problem yet. And it will become a problem, as every single summer does with bugs. But that's not what this video is about. It's about, how to grow this. When I sowed the seeds, I sowed them at about 1/8 of an inch under the soil and watered them. It took about 5 days or so, 5 to 7 days for germination. And once the seeds have started to sprout up, you can actually use the plant at any point. It's going to get much, much, much bigger, and the more you leave it alone, the more abundance you're going to have. And at this point, if I was to keep chopping at this plant every single day, it would still just keep producing. So it's in a good place right now. I'm really happy with where it's at. I would definitely keep it in, especially if you're in a warmer climate, I would keep it in a part of your garden that gets about 6 to 8 hours of sun a day. You don't want it to be in the part of your garden that gets 10, 12 hours of sun a day with that really harsh heat. I have it in a back corner of my garden that is mostly protected from the sun, so it gets the least amount of sun out of all of my whole garden. So that's why I strategically planted it there, so that it could have some relief. Definitely make sure you're keeping it watered. You can see these plants wilting just from the heat alone, so it's not even that they need water, they just start to wilt from heat as well. So even though they are heat tolerant, you will see that at like 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the day, but that will go away if you water it to kind of cool it down, and once the sun starts setting too. So don't panic when you see that. Of course, kale is a superfood. It is something that everybody should incorporate more in their diet. There are tons of vitamins and nutrients. This is a wonderful food to, include in many recipes like soups, or if you're throwing it in rice or just about anything. I would encourage attempting to incorporate this into more of your recipes, which is why I'm doing the cream of kale recipe, and that's a great way to really eat up a whole lot of it and have a healthy dish as well. In this video, I'll show you how to make delicious cream of kale. You'll want to start out by cutting out the ribs of the kale because you don't want that rough texture in there, so you just find the back end and cut down and rip the rib out so that all you're left with is the leaves. I'm using 8 ounces of kale, and you can use anything from flat leaf, curly leaf. I'm actually using Red Russian, whichever kale you can find that looks the freshest or that you're growing. Once all of your kale ribs are removed, roll all the leaves together and cut into roughly 1/4 inch pieces one way and then down the middle. Here are all the ingredients you'll need. As mentioned, I'm using 8 ounces of Red Russian kale, 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese, 1 1/2 teaspoons salt, 2 teaspoons garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon pepper, 1/2 teaspoon paprika, and 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, 2 tablespoons of butter, 1 cup of sweet onions chopped, 4 ounces of cream cheese, and 1/2 cup of half and half. Heat a pan to medium-high heat and add your butter to the pan to melt. Throw in your onions to caramelize. Once caramelized, add in your kale. Next, you can toss in your spices and make sure all of this cooks for at least 7 minutes or so until the kale is nicely wilted. You don't want the kale to still have any type of toughness to it. Once your kale is nicely wilted, you can toss in the cream cheese and make sure that you mix it all together until it's nicely melted. Once the cream cheese is melted and everything is mixed together, add your 1/2 cup of half and half and stir. Then you could toss in your 1 cup of cheddar cheese and make sure everything is nicely stirred together. And that's it. Your cream of kale is done and ready to eat. This is keto friendly, healthy, and delicious. If you enjoyed this recipe, please be sure to give it a like and hit that subscribe button below for more amazing recipes.